Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Ross Johnston. In Titans news, the team signed safety Kendall Brooks to the practice squad. Brooks had a pick six in the preseason versus Atlanta. In NFL news, Colts corner Xavier Howard turned some heads yesterday as he decided to retire. Howard played for 8 years in Miami before joining Indianapolis this season. In his time with the Dolphins, he received 2 All-Pro nods and 4 Pro Bowls. In injury news, the Jets placed running back Braylon Allen on IR and signed former Bears running back Khalil Herbert, per Rich Cimini. Also, Jaguars edge rusher Trayvon Walker had surgery and is dealing with a day-to-day injury. His status for Sunday is in question, per head coach Liam Cohen. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news I want you in your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And, of course, we're broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports studio. Circus Sports is Kentucky's largest sports book, can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. All right. So I didn't really know if I really wanted to dive into this topic because the topic of the we ask comments, now listen,
we ask.
That's shorthand because really
ask, A-S-K, right?
Yeah, right.
That's right, right?
But really those comments are just kind of part of the bigger story to me. Like, if he would have said we bad or we trash, we're probably just really focused on the words after it, which we all should be. But in a sports media landscape, everybody's going to focus on the we ask part. But I want to put out there the full statement that he actually said. So do you have that ready, Ross? Or we'll get that ready.
Give me a minute.
Okay, I'll get you a minute. So we're going to go through that full statement because I think it's important when people in the media are starting to talk about this. Very few are playing the full clip. And I think and they're just referring to it as, well, he said we asked. And here's what Cam Ward said in full with his messaging Sunday after the game.
I mean, we keeping a buck right now, we asked. So we 0-4. We have, at this point, we got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in, especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all three faces. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet. And that's just something that, we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better. And we're doing that, but it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but it got to show up next week.
We have to lock in. I think ultimately you can sum it up. What he's saying is none of us are playing very well. We're not really playing together very well. And we all got to step up. Myself, first and foremost, have to step up. That, to me, sounds like a mature way to look at it. Now, you can, nitpick the phrase that he used at the very beginning. But at the end of the day, the message is the same. The message is a good one. And I don't really care how it's delivered. Everybody needs to be really leaning into this instead of trying to make a bigger deal of it or kind of saying that he was immature or childish for saying it.
Well, for the people who are mature, I think who have been in the media a long time, I think they felt like he was like pointing the finger, like maybe at the organization, which I don't think that was the point. He was talking about all involved, including himself, that they weren't very good. So, yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it. I wish he would have kind of chose different words. Got to understand he's still a rookie, that how things can be portrayed just because when they just take snippets. But I had no issue with it. I actually felt like it was needed at this point. You get to see his fire and frustrations, about not winning games in the National Football League. He knows he's the quarterback. So, you just have a general conversation. I don't think it was a big deal at all. Just know, how things can be twisted and turned, and they'll just take, snippets.
And of course,
what
he's
you
not
say.
even part of the social media culture, to be honest with you. So he probably doesn't even know that's really getting twisted around if nobody had told him it was. And to me, I think the idea
What'd
that
you think about it, Ross? Did you think about it? No.
I had no issues with it at all.
Okay, I was just making sure for you.
Yeah. I mean, like from the player's perspective, I would assume you both have played in different levels, obviously. I mean, high school, professional at the
College.
highest level. Okay, college for you as well. But for the most part, it seems like most of the athletes that have come and talked about, like even McCoy, the former defensive tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all the athletes kind of get it, right? Like, I mean, again, if he would have said we're bad, probably no big deal. But I remember when everybody was laughing when he said we're mid.
Mm-hmm.
You remember?
Yeah, I do.
like,
absolutely. I
this
remember.
is to me is really
It's the
no
same
different
thing.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the vernacular that his generation uses.
Right.
That. My son says that all the time.
Right. We stink. We're cheeks. Remember when we had the big discussion
Yeah.
about cheeks? Like,
I had to go ask him all the new words.
Yeah. I think it's because he said the word ass. And I think that really doesn't really convey what he's trying to convey. But I feel like that's what people are latching onto. And it kind of makes me feel like I didn't really. Again, what Big Jeff, Cody Barton, and Brian Callen said, in the big scheme of things, probably not that big of a deal. But I just don't like that the coach used the term or phrase that he's learning to grow up or he's growing up, and he's got to learn that his words carry weight. Because to me, those words should carry weight and shouldn't be, I guess, diminished or hindered or prevented from saying in the future, because he's the leader of the or going to be the leader of the locker room. It already seems like he kind of is, and his words should carry weight. Just because he didn't say it in a way that you want it to be said doesn't mean that he shouldn't be saying it. Does that make sense?
Well, I think I take a different take here. I think not in a different way, but just I think Coach Callahan thought he was throwing him under the bus.
That you think that Cam Ward thought, or Brian Callen thought that Cam Ward was throwing him under the bus?
Yeah. He was just that's why
It could be.
Because to me, there's nothing to be said. We are horrible.
Yeah.
We are ass. So what else needs to be, maybe you could have presented it a little bit differently. I think that's about all the conversation. Because if not, you're not only saying did yourself included, Cam, but the entire offense, the entire team, and the entire coaching staff is all involved, or why we are asked. So I think that's why. Other than that, there is no other reason why he should be saying something to him about that. Because he feels like he's throwing him under the bus to a certain extent, knowing what's all going on right now about the coach's job. And so that's why timing sometimes is everything. Mm-hmm. Now, I think he wasn't doing that intentionally to kind of throw his coach under the bus. I think he wants to work with Callahan, and he's just frustrated that he lost. But see, it can be perceived totally different, because he, as you mentioned, is not only the leader, but he's the starting quarterback, and it carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, I also think that there's a certain situation here where, kind of going back to what we were talking about yesterday, is like it feels like people inside the building, staff, players, whatever, the front office included in that staff references, that I heard a couple of people mention, well, they've sold these shirts, right? They apparently that someone has printed the "We Ass" shirts and they've sold them.
But Ross said he already bought one.
Yeah, he bought two. Yeah.
And you got me one too.
He's bought one for everybody in the studio. But the way it was put on that I've heard is that, like, well, they sold 150 of them and they sold out, but they're going to be coming back with more. Okay, 150. Why is the people inside the building worried about 150? Because 69,000 people can come to your stadium. You're worried about 150? It's like they're so focused. They're more focused on that he said "we ass" than they are focused on everything else that is entails. Because the real issue here is not that he said "we ass," that he said it publicly. The real issue is he's holding the team accountable and
including himself.
And they are ass.
and they are, but nobody wants to accept that. And maybe they do behind the scenes, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure Jeffrey Simmons, he knows, like, hey, Cam, hey, maybe we don't need to say we ass out here, but listen, we are. I know, I get it, but, maybe we don't need to say it. Maybe that was the conversation he had. You could see that Calvin Ridley in the locker room right now just looks totally dejected. And it's probably because he wants to do more, right? He knows what he's got to do. But at the end of the day, I'm okay with the guy trying to light a fire. And I guess I should put it this way. I'm okay with a player being honest and holding himself accountable while holding his teammates accountable and saying, this isn't good enough.
Right. And he just didn't say it that way. That's the only thing. But anybody who's been around the program, like everybody covering them here locally, I think got it. It's the national guys who are going to put that out there, and then it's going to be portrayed as something totally different. So that's being really picky, but I don't think I would have been in the head coach's shoes. I don't think I would have had an issue with it. I would have just like, hey, man, you spoke the truth, but just be careful.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they can be, perceived differently. And that's all I would say. That might have been something would have been said while we're on the field, out there warming up, something real casual.
Do you think they should have kind of leaned into it when asked about it a little bit? Maybe not said we asked, but maybe said, yeah, we're 0-4. He's right. We got to do better. Yeah. Instead of maybe saying about the stuff about growing up and meetings and talking and all that kind of stuff, maybe just kind of leaned into it without saying the we asked part. Because I feel like if you do want him to say something different, that should be not in public. Maybe just kind of lean into it and show a little support.
Kylie and all I can do is guess. I said I had no issue with it, so I would have leaned into it all the way. I said, right now, nothing's acceptable. We are bad. Yeah. We haven't won a game, and so nobody's happy around here. So, I would have had an issue. So if you're not leaning into it and you had an issue with it, you're not going to say that.
Yeah. See, that's my concern is because if you remember in Jeffrey Simmons' comments, he also says we're close. To winning games. And I'm thinking, well, that sounds like the messaging that's being had because we've heard Brian Callahan say that last year. We've heard him say, remember, there's many games after a press conference last year. He's like, we're close. We're just 1 or 2 plays away. And I get that maybe the message leaking into there, but I'm now beginning to wonder, is that message, as far as it's not reality in my mind, maybe the defense is keeping them in games close, but it kind of feels like this offense is a little bit far away, and I'm wondering if the perception inside, the messaging from the staff and perception inside is conflicting with how Cam Ward views things. I'm just wondering out loud.
That is a great wonder there, Wonder Boy. But now, you got to look at it from the lens of the coach.
Okay.
All right. You want to have some positivity, and it's really hard when you're over. You haven't won a game. So what you are presenting to the players is, hey, we need to learn how to finish. We're close. We've been in all these games in the fourth quarter, some reason how we're flaming out. For whatever reason, all different
It's kind of happened in the first quarter, too, if you've looked at the point
I think that's the message, because here's where you're doing that as a coach. You don't want your players giving up on you, giving up on not only your belief in that we can win as a team, as a unit, but also believing in the coaching staff that they can get it done. And there's a whole array of things where this can go. And so you're trying to manifest, what really is in your ideal to keep everybody positive on an upbeat.
Yeah.
As a coach, you're trying to, put things out there that they'll go, kind of repeat. To be honest, you say they were close in the first game, but they find ways, just like last year, to lose, which means you're not a good team. And I know we're still in the first quarter, so you want to give them somewhat of a breather here. But to me, it looks like it's going down the same road, but a little bit different than last year. But it's the same road of, the defense breaks down when you need them to make a play in the fourth quarter. They can't make a play. The offense is sputtered throughout the day, and they can't get anything going. And eventually, they break in impatience by Cam as a rookie quarterback. So, I think they're just trying to be positive because it's so early, and I get that. and the reason why. But at the same time, I'm a guy who's a truth teller, and if in sports you can't have sensitive feelings. Because
Right.
either that or you're going to get broken. Because, see, if you're sensitive, that means you're a sensitive player. So if you get beat, then what happens then? Or if you drop a ball, what happens then? See, then your sensitivities and your insecurities all get exasperated to a
Right.
whole nother level. So, and everybody's a human being. So obviously everybody has certain sensitivities at different levels. So you got to be careful when you're a coach, but you got to know who you're talking to. And as a group, I think that's the message they're trying to put out there. I mean, I have no problem with that behind the scenes. I want to hear him say it publicly that we've been close. I want him to say we've been close and then see how the media responds,
Yeah.
the local media, to him saying that.
Yeah. Richard Snyder on the F&M Bank Chat, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live says they are as close as a boat with 7 holes and 6 corks. Fix one hole and another hole leaks.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's go to Theron in Nashville. Theron, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
So I want to comment on the Cam Ward statement. He's telling the truth, and I can't blame the man for telling the truth. We are donkey, and the way he said it, yes, but I think in that manner that he's saying it in that way should put a fire under the team, and we should go out and start performing come Sunday, and maybe into further. But let's see. We hope.
Gotcha.
I'm with you.
And guess what? That is a great point. That could be the turning point. It
Yeah.
could be by him saying that.
Because the more I think about, the more I'm like,
See?
okay, well, maybe they're going to win this game against Arizona.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know,
about
but like, but I'm just like,
that.
you know,
I'm
that's
not
how
even
I
asking
feel.
about wins and
Yeah.
losses because that's unpredictable. But what I am asking is,
Competitive.
I want to see throughout the game, not only competitive. I think the guys are playing hard, but are they playing smart? And that's I mean, and not giving up. 2nd and 33, you're impressed. That's what playing smart, especially from a veteran player. So yeah, I want to see him play smart. Whether you lose a close one or win one, that'll all come in due time. Naturally, the fans want to win, but for me, I just want to see some consistent play throughout an entire game, and then see where we're at the end. Then you get to see, oh man, can we be competitive against every team in the league if we play like this? So it's hard. It's hard for them to play consistent.
It's, I just something about the lack of consistency, I feel like is just, it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen this year because we saw it last year, the inconsistencies. We're seeing it again this year. Until a major change actually happens, not just a play caller, I think the inconsistencies are going to be there. But coming up next, we're going to talk to Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. He's going to join us via the phone because he's on an 8-hour trek to Gainesville. So he's going down to watch that game. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're going to go to the phones. We're going to talk to Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered as he's making the trek down to Gainesville for this weekend's game in Florida. Let's talk about that game. I mean, what kind of chances are you giving Florida to walk away with a win?
Yeah, first things first, guys. Appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure to chat with you once again. Yeah, we're headed down to Gainesville right now. Chances for Florida to win, I would say, are a little bit higher than probably the home faithful are giving the Gators. I'm expecting a close game. I really am. I think it's interesting. Both these teams coming out of the bye week, obviously, Texas with questions of their own. All the question marks I had around Texas going into week 1 in Columbus, the game I attended at Ohio State. When it comes to Arch Manning specifically, I've still got him. I think offensively, since that Ohio State game, you've had 3 non-conference games to kind of figure some things out. You didn't look great in 2 of them. You beat up on Sam Houston in your last game, whatever that means. And, for Florida, obviously, it's really just looking for any positive spark. But for both of these teams, quarterback play is the big storyline, right, guys? I mean, Texas has got an elite defense. Florida, their front 7, I think, can do enough to disrupt Arch Manning. But which of these 2 quarterbacks plays better? I think Florida at home does have a good shot. The one thing I know this team will do, or will not do, I should say, they will not quit on Billy Napier. So I trust the Longhorns more to find a way off the bye week to get a dub. But I'll be honest with you, I don't have much of an idea what's going to happen on Saturday because I just don't think we really know what versions of these teams and specifically these quarterbacks are going to show up.
Last week you said, or you talked about how Josh Heupel, sometimes his teams, lose that kind of road game at some point. Now, they tried to give it away at the beginning, but they fought back and showed some resiliency under Heupel versus Mississippi State last week. What did you learn about this University of Tennessee team coming out of that game?
Yeah, I think they're a resilient bunch. And I don't know that it was something like really new I learned because I thought it'd be a hard-fought game, and I thought Tennessee would have to persevere. Let's also give a lot of credit to Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State's a pretty darn good team. They're much improved from last year. Just speaking on this weekend's games, them being a 14.5-point underdog in College Station, I think is an insult, for lack of a better way of putting it. I think it's way too many points. But, yeah, I think what you learned about the Vols was they can win ugly. I think that's something else you learn about them. When it doesn't all click and, Joey Aguilar with some tough luck turnovers with the tip balls and everything. And, the defense, I thought, there's certainly some things to clean up on the defensive side. But, you can win ugly, right? When it's not perfect, it doesn't all go your way. Hey, you go on the road, by the way. That was a big deal for them to get that big road win. We know the challenges down the stretch with some of the other road contests, but at Bama is going to be tough. Oklahoma comes to Neyland. So that Bama game is going to be tough. Really the only other road contest that I think would fit into the traditional Josh Heupel signature loss would be at Kentucky, and they're the worst team in the league. So I'll say right now I feel pretty good about it. So I think that was a big win for many different reasons, but the ability to win when you're not at your very best, guys, that's what the best teams in the league do. They can play their B-minus game and still find a way to get it done. I think that's what we most learned about Tennessee, squeaking out a win in overtime and start.
We're talking all things SEC football with Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered.
Well, Chris, let's stay with the theme of Tennessee and Nashville and Vandy carrying the torch, Diego and crew, up to Alabama. Give us the breakdown on how they can upset Bama again. Or is this even possible in your mind?
Oh, I think it's absolutely possible. I took Vandy plus 10.5. I do have Bama winning straight up, but I think absolutely the path is there to win this football game. I think it'd be, again, an insult to Vandy to insinuate they can't walk in there and get the dub. Listen, I think they're going to need kind of like last year. Listen, to win a game like this, I know that Alabama isn't the same Alabama, but they're still Alabama, right? So you're going to need some breaks to go your way. You're going to need to make some game-changing type of plays and shift the momentum. You think about last year, the pick six they got off of Jalen Milroe early in that game, some of the other turnovers they forced in that ball game. you're going to need to get Ty Simpson off rhythm, right? I'm really curious the game plan that Clark Lee will have in this football game going up against the Ty Simpson. The guy has not turned the football over yet this season. And again, getting to see him in person last week in Athens, he looked extremely poised, extremely composed, confident, in rhythm, right? Felt like he was very on script, like nothing flustered him, nothing rattled him. You're going to have to find a way to get him out of sync at least a little bit because, again, you're going to need those game-changing plays, those turnovers. I mean, anytime you go on the road in this league, you need those types of plays to assist you in pulling an upset. So, and I think offensively, hey, it's a lot more just Diego Pavia being Diego Pavia. I think they're going to use a lot of what they did last year from the standpoint of, long, sustained drives. Hey, good way to stop Ty Simpson. Keep him off the field, right? Put together 6-7 minute drives, obviously in those in points. But I think Vandy's got a great shot. Again, I'm going with Alabama. Admittedly, I hate myself for not being bold enough to take the doors. But by no means should anybody look at this game saying that, it's a pipe dream or Vandy has no chance. It's Vandy's a very good football team. There's a reason they're ranked where they are. They're playing extremely good football. Again, I was impressed with what I saw from Bama in Athens. I do think they find a way to get the win at home, but I expect this one to be a thriller into the fourth quarter. And, guys, even if Vandy loses close, there's no moral victories, but Vandy can earn a lot of national respect that people should have already put on them, but I think that they can earn even more of that coming out of this if they give Bama another scare. Certainly if they win, obviously, we got to have a serious conversation about not only is it a possibility to make the playoff, but Vandy should probably be a favorite to make the college football playoff. And then you start talking SEC title game, and, it could get really, really wild in Nashville. So big opportunity this weekend.
Where would you put Ty Simpson as far as SEC player of the year to this point? Granted, it's still early in the season in the SEC.
Yeah, I think he's certainly up there. I would not put him number one. Hey, we just talked about Diego Pavia. Guys, he's got to be up there. If they go beat Alabama, we need to start pushing Diego Pavia as like winning the Heisman Trophy. Like that's the kind of season and the type of impact he's had to this point. John Mateer, obviously, out with the injury right now, but especially if he can come back for the Texas game, Red River Shootout next weekend if he played well. Guys, a name that we talked about last week, Ahmad Hardy. And I know it was against UMass, but ho-hum, 3 more touchdowns and 150 more rushing yards. He's just week after week after week putting up these insane numbers. I think certainly he's a guy you talk about as player of the year as well. So those are kind of the guys, admittedly, that lead the charge. And, again, I think Ty Simpson certainly because even in the loss to Florida State, he was really good in that game. So I think Ty Simpson's the guy. Guys, if he keeps it up, it's pretty well documented. I had a Ty Simpson for Heisman Trophy ticket that I bet on earlier this preseason, and I was pretty nervous after week one, but starting to feel pretty good about it, especially if he keeps it up.
Let's look on the other side of this. Now, even if it's a close win, it's a win. If Vandy beats Bama in Bama, what are people going to be saying about DeBoer?
Yeah. What's the buyout again?
I don't. Will that be part of the discussion, even if it's a close loss?
No, that's going to be the conversation. We're going to go right back to where we were in week one, where people are going to be talking about the buyout. We're going to have some lady on the local news talking about if she hits the lottery, she'd cut a $70 million check to get Kalen DeBoer out of there. It's going to go right back to that, guys, because I tell you. Y'all know this as well as I do. Give all the credit in the world to the Doors, but there's just no world in which Alabama fans can lose that game and say, you know what, just tip the cap. Vandy's a really good team. They just can't accept that. They can't tolerate that. They will not tolerate that. So even after, it'll be just the most maddening result of all time. You go into Athens, you beat Georgia, and then you turn right around and you lose to Vanderbilt. As good as Vandy might be, there's just no world where they can live with that. And Vandy having a winning streak over the University of Alabama, there's no way they can live with it. So, it would spell disaster for Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa.
have to ask you, as I do every time we have you on, is your top 3 rankings in the SEC, and I'm going to go somewhere with that after you give me that.
Yeah, so guys, I actually dropped this a couple of days ago, so you caught me on a good day for it. I think a top 3, and, I'll give you my order right now. I'm going Ole Miss at 1. I mean, you got to give credit to Lane Kiffin and, what they did, beating LSU, the way they're playing right now. Trinidad Chambliss, I'm not even sure if he is human at this point. So I'm going Ole Miss at number 1, Texas A&M at number 2. The Aggies will get a real test this weekend, and we'll figure out with the question that we have every week, is A&M actually for real, or, they're going to revert back to that 8-4, 9-3, the old Texas 8-4 jokes. And then at 3, I do have Alabama. I've got Bama right now in Georgia. That team looked a lot more like the Bama I expected. Ty Simpson's playing at an elite level. They've got stars all over the place on the offensive side. At receiver, Jam Miller being back was huge. And, I think defensively at all 3 levels, they've still got NFL guys running around. Getting Tim Keenan back on the defensive front was a big deal. But, I mean, dude, you can make a case for 6 or 7 or 8 different teams in that top 3. It's so wide open. It's more wide open than I ever recall it.
Well, Chris, I knew you exactly what you were going to say. 6 or 8 teams. Well, imagine this, if you can. 6 or 8 teams are eligible for the playoffs, and they all finish with 10-2 mark. Can that possibly happen? And then what is the debate?
Yeah, could it happen? I mean,
I think 6 teams can finish 10-2. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know how to check on that.
I'm hesitant to say anything can't happen at this point in this league, with as crazy as it's been. But I do think realistically we're going to get 5 in the playoff. I do. Right now, I feel pretty confident in predicting we get 5. I don't know if the committee would allow more than that, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I mean, if they're deserving, I mean, stack them up in there. But I think 5 is probably – because here's the problem, too. The teams are going to lose games. It's going to happen. I mean, with the unpredictability of the league, we're not going to have 7 teams finish 10-2. We're just not. There's no way. And I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love to see the chaos and the debate, what have you. But, yeah, I think more realistically, I think we can get 5 teams in there. I think there probably will be 5 that will be deserving.
Chris, going back to the Vandy, Alabama game just real quick. I mean, obviously, Alabama's under the most pressure, even with Diego Pavia and all the comments he made. Don't you feel Alabama and those players and that staff is under way more pressure in this game than Vanderbilt and their players?
Absolutely. Vandy's got nothing to lose, guys. I mean, outside of the faithful few in Nashville and those on that team and within that program, I don't think anybody's picking Vandy to win this football game. So, yeah, I mean, I think Bama's absolutely under more pressure. Heck, I was talking with a buddy of mine earlier today about this, Bama fan, Bama alum, and he went as far as to say he feels like it's a lose-lose for Alabama. Because if you beat Vandy, the narrative's going to be, well, it's still Vandy. But if it's a close win or, God forbid, a loss, it's going to be an indictment on them. So because I just – and it's not fair because I don't think people will give Vandy the credit that, again, they absolutely deserve. But, we're still kind of fighting an uphill battle when it comes to the doors and gaining that national level of respect. And Clark Lee, and then they obviously don't care about that. They're doing a great job. They're winning football games, and I don't think they should care. But, yeah, no, you're right. It's so much more pressure on Alabama in this football game. They were the ones that came in with, SEC title, national championship expectations. I mean, guys, a lot of us came in and said, hey, if Vandy can just get to 7-5, right, that'd be a really good year. Good building block up last year. They're 5-0. So, I mean, they are well ahead of the sticks when it comes to that regard. And so, yeah, Bama is under far more pressure. I love Diego. Continue to talk. Keep it loose. Keep it fun. Keep being you. It's worked out pretty well to this point.
Okay, so obviously Arkansas gets trounced by Notre Dame. Wasn't even really close at any point in the game once the clock started in the first quarter. I mean, they just got destroyed. Sam Pittman obviously is fired. What's next for Arkansas and its football program?
Well, I don't think Bobby Petrino is the long-term answer. I'm just going to leave it at that. I like Bobby P a lot. I think they'll be exciting down the stretch. You know, time is a flat circle. The fact that Bobby P is in control there in Fayetteville, but I think you got to go younger. I think you got to go for a guy. I mean, listen, this is a young man's game. This is a hustler's game, right? Like that's what college football now is with NIL, portal, et cetera. It's 24/7, 365. So, you know, I know Rhett Lashley is going to be a name that's thrown around, but, you know, the one that I think will be a home run is Dan Mullen. And apparently Dan Mullen has some interest in getting back into the SEC for the right opportunity. Maybe, just maybe, Arkansas is that right opportunity. I mean, you know, John Summerall at Tulane is another name that's going to be really popular. Alex Golish, who obviously I know folks in the state of Tennessee very familiar with for what his time he did with the Vols. So, yeah, I mean, I think going young, going with the guy who's got some SEC ties, I think would be ideal. And I tell you again, if you can get Dan Mullen, man, I think that's a swing you got to take and see if he'll take it. But I tell you this, guys, Arkansas's got to invest in the program. I mean, some of these comments from Hunter Yurachek, their athletic director, talking about Sam Pittman was not set up for success. He didn't have the investment he needed. And I brought that to light on social media, and I caught a lot of flack from Arkansas folks, what have you, you know, because essentially they're saying, well, why do you think that is? Nobody believed in it. And I'm like, well, that's a really bold strategy either way to not invest in the program and not invest in your guy and, you know, essentially admit that he was doomed. You know, he didn't have a chance to win. So that has to change. They have to get the guy in there that they're going to get. It's a resources game, guys. I mean, that's what college athletics is now. It's a resources game. If you don't have the resources, I don't care who your coach is, you don't have a chance. So they got to find a guy they can all rally around, believe in, and really invest in that program. Because there's no reason to me Arkansas can't be hey, we average 7 to 8 wins a year, and every 3 to 4 to maybe 5 years, we're pushing 9, 10 wins. Like, Arkansas is a program that can make the playoff once or twice a decade. I genuinely believe that, but not if they don't make more of a commitment to winning at a high level.
Okay. I mean, Ole Miss beat LSU, and I feel like that was a pretty convincing big victory on Ole Miss's side. I have been for 2 years, this being the second year, obviously, not a big believer in Garrett Nussmeier. I've never been a big believer in Brian Kelly. How much can just a large-looking winning record, right? Because they're 4-1 right now. They may win some games. I mean, how much are they going to be satisfied if they are still not making the playoffs with arguably still a super talented roster? And if they don't make the playoffs, I mean, how much can Brian Kelly, that's a Freudian slip right there, Brian Kelly delay being fired?
You know, if you talk to enough LSU fans, you learn something really, really quickly. That 9-3 in Baton Rouge gets you fired. So I don't think he can. I don't think he can make the playoff or miss the playoff this year. I'm not saying he's going to be fired for this year because there's way too much money tied up in him. The buyout is absolutely crazy, but he will be on extremely thin ice. Like they will be ready to show him the door. I just don't know that it will happen after this season. You know, you make a good point about Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not going to call you crazy for it. I mean, you know, I kind of am knocking myself a little bit for drinking some of the Kool-Aid and buying some of the off-season stuff. And, you know, Nussmeier's a guy that I won't go into too much detail, but, you know, I got a lot of buddies down there in Baton Rouge that talk about Nussmeier on and off the field. And there are things that are troubling about him that, you know, if you heeded the words of some of those, I know I'm being very vague. I kind of have to be with this, but there were reasons to doubt him. I'll just put it that way. You know, he's a guy that, you know, obviously he's dealing with an injury. Mm-hmm. He's got to get healthy 100%. How valid is the injury? I mean, listen, it looks like he's not putting a lot of velocity on the football right now, which has obviously affected him. I think if you're LSU guys, you have to start asking the question, is Michael Van Buren the better option at quarterback? And it's just not a conversation they want to have. It's not a conversation that fan base is very comfortable with. But especially if Nuss isn't 100%, I think the decision is kind of made for itself. But even if he is 100%, you're right. Like, at what point do you say, hey, We know Garrett waited his turn. He's kind of the quote-unquote prodigal son. Like, he's so beloved. He's wearing 18, an honor, right, a steamed honor, but he ain't getting the job done, man. I mean, look at his numbers in SEC play. He's essentially 1-to-1 touchdown to pick ratio. I mean, it speaks for itself. So, yeah, I mean, their season's not a lost cause by any means, but if they don't get that offense going, and hey, they can't run the football. I mean, let's just go ahead and throw that out there. They cannot run the football again. So you're putting all this pressure on your quarterback. Michael Van Buren's actually mobile. It gives you an opportunity to use the quarterback run game and kind of get creative like Oklahoma's been doing, right? And he can throw it. We saw it at Mississippi State. I mean, I think he might be the better option, guys. I really do. So, you know, you got to put the guy out there that's going to give you the best chance to win games, because you're right. They fall short of the playoff again. Like I said, I think the buyout's pretty crazy, but, hey, I know some Cajuns. They're pretty crazy, too. I wouldn't they'd find a way to find them. People are going to be looking under their mattresses and between their couch cushions to go scrounge up about whatever it is, $50 million or $70 million or whatever. They will find a way if they really want to.
All right, real quick, upset alert. Who you got?
Upset alert this week. I mean, I think Bama's got to be on it. I think Vandy can go in there and pull the upset. I'll tell you the one, though, Texas A&M at home against Mississippi State. I really believe that State could go in there and pull the shocker. They're 14.5-point underdogs. I think the line is incredibly disrespectful. I think State can win it outright. But that's just, you know, I'm about to mention every game, but that's what's fascinating about this slate this weekend. You know, Georgia, Kentucky's a snoozer. I think Georgia's going to walk all over them. Texas, Florida. I mean, the game that I'm going to, I think the Gators, despite this Florida fan base being checked out, I think the Gators could do it in the swamp as well. So, you know, it's a weekend like this where you think you got it all figured out, that we see the craziest results. Nothing will stop me at this point.
All right, Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered joining us to go around the SEC. Have a safe trip down to Florida.
Guys, y'all the best. Appreciate you.
All right. Coming up next, we're gonna go to the phones, but I'm also gonna give you my big worry about Vanderbilt versus Alabama and why I'm very concerned about this game. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
The board. There are a lot of things Americans split on 50-50 on. You know this, right? Politics, working from home versus the office, or coffee versus tea. But there's one thing we all agree on. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop, and that's Eurofix. Taking your car in for repairs can be complicated. And your repair is only as good as the person under the hood. And most of the problems in fixing your vehicle is a knowledge issue, not someone trying to rip you off like most of us thinks, me included. And a lot of techs are not properly trained, so they end up guessing what to do, and that causes delays in getting your vehicle back or repeat visits for the same issue, which is so frustrating. For around a quarter of a century, Eurofix has done things differently. Every visit starts with a free 15-minute no-rinse inspection, so you know what's going on before we start the work. And at Eurofix, they pay their technicians more than the other company does just to attract the best and the brightest talent. And Eurofix still fixes European vehicles at below dealer pricing with their 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty, all work performed by Eurofix. And rental cars are available as well. Locally owned, family run with 5 locations. And all you have to do is go check them out online at myeurofix.com. Yes, that's myEurofix.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And here's my big concern as an Alabama fan with this Vanderbilt versus Alabama game coming up.
Before you start, though,
Okay.
I know people keep asking, are you a DeBoer backer?
I am willing to be patient with DeBoer, but I mean, that Florida State game really sticks out in my mind. That's a real sore.
can't let it go,
Can't
huh?
let it go. Can't let it go.
All right, my bad. Go ahead.
But that's okay. But here's the thing. A part of why I'm very kind of on the fence about DeBoer is that most of his wins come at home. Now, he just got a big Georgia win, so I can't fault him for that, but they didn't score any points in the second half. So that's a little worrisome. And that leads into what scares me about Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt hangs around and they are within 2 touchdowns, maybe just 10 points, but if they're definitely within 3 or 7, I'm scared crapless. Like, I am going to FanDuel. I'm putting Vanderbilt money on Vanderbilt money line. Because either I'm jinxing them or I'm winning money if Alabama loses. Because here's why. Vanderbilt is number 1 in the nation in second half points scored.
Yes, they
25.8 points.
They turned it on.
Alabama's all the way down at 47th. They average 14.5 second half points a game. So if Vanderbilt keeps it close, I think the pressure is going to get to Alabama. I think they're going to be thinking, first off, this team should not be that close to us. They're going to start pressing that panic button a little bit.
Wait, time out.
I'm just saying.
Why do you think Bama's going to think, after getting beat last year, that they shouldn't be this close to us and make
because I think that's what they're thinking right
tight.
now. Because I think they're big. They got confidence brewing, right? Like, they're going in here thinking we're going to put belt to ass is what they're thinking. Now, Alabama's thinking they're coming to our neighborhood, our house. We're stealing their lunch. We're going to eat it in front of them while we're holding our foot down on their head. So if they keep it close, Vanderbilt keeps it close, and at halftime, especially if it's 3 points, 7, like, you escalate over 14 points, I think we're good. I think I'm feeling pretty good about Alabama, but they keep it pretty close. I'm nervous if I'm an Alabama fan in that second half because I've seen what Vanderbilt's been able to do in that second half.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually
It's different opponents.
I don't know who's going to win, but I would say it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
They play better at home, so I'd love to see the stats of under DeBoer anyway. Playing Alabama playing at home, but I would generally say the pressure is more so on Alabama because of the history of the university in football. But if it's close, this is the modern Vanderbilt. Like, they are legit, and they have been running down people's throats. And so for them thinking that if it's close, you're in trouble. No, as long as they are up and winning or controlling the game and somewhat can go back and counter, then I think if I'm an Alabama fan, I think I'm fine. You're going to have to be fine with a close win is still a win, or even if you win by 10 points. You can't look at it as just Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt this year is not that team, just like they were but even more so now because they got more guys and they know they're good, so they're even more dangerous. So their confidence is going to go. I think their confidence already going into a game like this is that they can believe that they can win. So it's already there because they know they've done it. See, they know they've done it. Now you got to do it on the road, which is harder to me. And I think DeBoer and crew, for whatever reason, I think they play better at home. So I think they're going to win. I think Bama's going to win by about 10.
I hope. And
it may still be close in the fourth, though, by the way.
Let's go to Chris real quick, who wants to talk about this game. Chris, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, guys. I had a kind of a quick question about Cam Ward.
Hello?
We lost you.
Yeah, hello?
Oh, you're there?
Oh,
okay.
We couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm here. Yeah, I had a quick question about Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up a Lions fan. I'm from Michigan. I don't know if you guys know, like, Charlie Batch. Like, that dude could sling it. Do you see any comparisons between, like, because I hear some people talking about Cam Ward's, like, slinging the ball, and, like, Charlie Batch never figured it out. But I think Cam Ward's got some touch on, like, his deep balls. But is he, like, you guys think he's going to figure it out? Where he's, like, not swinging that ball as hard for, like, the mid passes, short passes?
Well, that is an appropriate question, Chris, because coming up next, we're going to talk about what Cam Ward can actually work on in between games and, tweaking his footwork and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to hear from Brian Callen. We're going to hear from Cam Ward. Coming up next is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And, of course, we're broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. And last night, the Nashville Soccer Club brought home the U.S. Open Cup trophy. And for those that may not be familiar with that, that is a legit trophy. It's not a Super Bowl, or it's not the MSL thing or MLS trophy. You know, it's not that level, but it is Tennessee's first major domestic trophy in professional sports coming to University of Tennessee, or coming to Nashville, Tennessee, to the state. Just real quick, this means, I'm going to try and pronounce it correctly.
I better you than me, but I love sitting on this side.
CONCACAF.
Okay.
CONCACAF.
Okay.
With a little G in there. CONCACAF.
Ross is looking.
They get an automatic bid to that, which is another tournament in soccer. For those that may not know, there's like 50,000 tournaments in one season of soccer. But it's another tournament coming up later on down.
Thanks for helping me.
They were in the 2024. They were in the 2024 one last year, the CONCACAF. They also get $600,000 that goes into their, I guess you would say their salary cap, but their purse is what they call it. For those that doesn't sound like a large amount, but just so people know, the minimum MLS salary, average minimum MLS salary is $104K. So that's about 5 players that you can maybe bring in for the team. And then the MLS average salary. So the minimum, that was the minimum. The MLS average salary is $594. So you may even get one big player with it. So that's something that is also important as well.
They have the real Brian Callahan.
Yes, they do. They do.
Is that the one we thought we hired? Or
it may be. You remember they also had a Tyler Boyd as well at the same time that we had it. It was just really wild. That's crazy.
Like, what?
Yeah.
No, they spent a little bit.
So congratulations, Nashville SC. There you go. Let's go. We're not a big soccer show, but you got Lucas and Will Bowling for that. But I just do think that, hey,
and
pretty big moment. Pretty big moment. Let's go to Mike in Murfreesboro. Mike in Murfreesboro, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
Guys, just wanted to talk about the Lamar Hunt Cup. You know, seeing the NSC bring home that first trophy for a professional team in Tennessee, it's a huge deal for us. We're going to celebrate this Sunday right outside Geodis. So anybody wants to see that trophy, see it in all its glory.
Sunday at what time? Sunday at what time?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. Okay, got you.
There you go.
Great game with Sam and Hani both scoring. I mean, the two big stars for that team had to be the guys that scored last night.
Big time players stepped up, didn't they?
Yeah, but they got a team full of dogs. That's also something they have over the Tennessee Titans.
We don't have any dogs.
I got a few, but not as many as what they got per capita. Dogs per capita, I guess.
Do we have a whole bunch of meows?
Yeah, it feels like it sometimes.
The whiny dog, Blaine.
The whiny dog.
Whiny dog. Oh, man, I hate when my dog just whines. What are you doing? Are you hurt? What's wrong? You got to go out on the porch.
Okay, a lot has been made. Now, obviously, we've talked about it too. We've talked a lot about how his name always escapes me. I just need to write it down and post up here. The quarterback coach that Cam Ward's worked with, and how he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to have to clean up that footwork," and then he gets him in person. And he's like, "Oh, I don't really need to mess with him." We've talked a lot about that idea of you have to have this perfect footwork or anything, and how that's really probably not something you really want to mess with Cam Ward. But hey, any way you can improve as a passer, you may won't be open to that idea. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say about quarterback footwork development with Cam Ward in yesterday's press conference.
There's certainly things, especially when you're coming from the college game into the pro game, and the timing is so much more exact at this level, and the progressions of the quarterback, where his eyes go, what the route is, tied directly into his drop and his footwork. Those things have to be very precise, and it does take some time for guys to understand what that feels like and what it looks like, where your feet are tied into really the progression. And so as your feet hit the top of the drop and you take one hitch and your eyes go 1 to 2 to 3, that's a huge part of playing quarterback in the NFL. And it's a process that takes guys a little bit of time. We're still working really hard with Cam on those things. There's moments where it's really good, and there's moments where he's continuing to understand and get better at it. Those are high areas of focus for us in terms of the timing of the passing game, with tied in with his footwork and the discipline and patience of the footwork too. That's all a huge part of it. So it's a constant work in progress, and there's signs where it looks really good, and then we have moments where we got to keep correcting it. So it's I'd say the best thing is it's a work in progress.
As guys, from a young age go through as much coaching and tutoring and, playing as they have, and they advance to this level, shouldn't footwork be an issue that most guys are past?
Oh no, they're never past it. There's guys that are in years into their career that are still working on those things. To me, I would liken it to it's probably similar to like a golf swing, right? Where you're sort of always working on it. You're always tinkering with it. You're always finding out where you can make it better, where you can be more efficient. Those are all things that guys are working on. I mean, all these guys still go all off season long to go see other quarterback coaches and guys to continue to work on it. It's a craft is the best way to put it. The footwork and the anticipation and the timing of playing quarterback it's an art form, and they spend a lot of time working on it, trying new things, tweaking it. So I would say it's never something that guys ever arrive to. I mean, it's something we're always constantly working on with quarterbacks, especially young ones. And sometimes they don't get the same type of detailed footwork and coaching in those years of the 7-on-7s and stuff like that. They just go out and play ball. So yeah, I think it's a skill, it's a craft, and it's something that we spend a lot of time on.
I mean, I think that's the best of Brian Callahan, in my opinion, is like that kind of detailed answers and all that kind of stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Blaine. When I know they use the term footwork, but it really sounds like what he's talking about is lower body matching the eyes. Am I correct in that? That's really what it kind of sounds like, is because he talks about 1-2 plant drop, go through your reads, make a decision. And we have seen Cam do that to great success. Those are some of his best throws, when he just takes the snap, stops, drops. And I just wanted to get your take on what Brian Callahan said, but also the question of the term footwork in this scenario.
Yeah. Let's first start with what you said in the beginning there. I don't recall his quarterback's coach talking about his footwork. He was more talking about his launch release of where he let goes of the ball. That's what I
didn't mean Bo Hardegree. I'm
talking about his quarterback trainer in the offseason. You mentioned that he said something about his footwork. I only remember him saying that I'm not going to mess with his throwing motion because he had somewhat of a sidearm throwing motion.
Maybe you are right. Maybe I am
remember about the footwork. I just said I just don't remember.
I may be misremembering now that you're saying that.
That's Daryl Colbert, by the way. Colbert.
He was talking about his sidearm angle throws, and that he didn't want to tweak that because.
You know what? I think you're right.
His footwork, though. I don't know.
I think you're right, though.
But to your point, though, about footwork, it has to mirror with your arms and eyes all at the same time. And I completely agree with Callahan. It's no different than any other position, just much more important because you're the quarterback, is you're continually trying to refine and be perfect at your technical parts of an athlete at your position, because, you want to just be able to react. And that way it just happens in unison work. So he's definitely trying to, especially going against guys that are a lot faster, more athletic, and so then he speeds up his brain, but his feet, are sped up, or his arm isn't sped up, so it's not all working in unison. So then it kind of doesn't have the same kind of velocity on the throw. So I think that's what he's referencing there, which is all true. And he's at his finest when he's talking like that. It's great to hear. But it's an ongoing deal. But nothing like it should be part of your normal routine when you're, like, even in warm-ups or when they're doing quarterback drills or DB drills or linebacker drill or guard drills. those fundamental things, you need to continue to just perfect them because there's going to be times where, you're going to go against a better player and your technique is going to help you.
Is that a hard thing for any position, really? Is that a hard thing to kind of fix instantly? Because this really sounds like this is going to be a gradual week-to-week process, and I think fans think, well, why isn't the footwork already fixed? And I think he gave a great answer as to why that is, right? He talked about a golf swing. You're constantly tweaking your golf swing. I feel like this is something, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this feels like something that's going to happen gradually with reps. Not just
reps.
practice reps, but in-game reps.
Yeah. I think he's referencing more so in-game because you can't get those live moments in practice. So there's probably not a lot of times when he's not having proper footwork in practice. So that's why he's making the corrections in game. He's probably doing it easier. Practice is practice. I mean, it's what it is. So I think that's where when you start seeing those things, and I definitely can relate to that, where I wasn't a real technical player early in my career and I was just a football player. And then as I learned, as time went on, probably 3 or 4 years where I started perfecting being a technician and not just being a football player. And that's really when my career kind of took off because then my cover skills were much more detailed, understanding where my help is, when I can be risky, So all those things kind of play into each position and, and then you want to get out there and be able to just react. So that's where he's at right now. But I don't think that's a huge issue, by the way. But naturally, there are going to be times where,
it is an issue, right? Yeah. But it's an issue for every quarterback out there. Yeah. I feel like there's a time where they just have that. You're like, what kind of footwork is that? Yeah. But I do think that we've seen a lot from some of the best we've seen from Cam Ward is his footwork has been very good in those instances. And when we've seen the worst, footwork's or lower body, I guess I should say. Because it's not just, it's your position and all that. It's not just the feet and the how they are. I do want to hear from Cam Ward just real quick on what does he need to improve on to be consistent with his footwork.
I just think a lot of the quick game, just keeping it consistent with the right footwork and then getting back through the progressions.
Is there more up and down to it week to week than you expected and obviously than you'd like?
In what?
In footwork.
Not really. It's more just when I have my mind made up, I would say that's the biggest thing.
So, I mean, he talks about it right there. Short, quick passing game kind of helps with that and something that he needs to work on. And it's, sometimes it's maybe his mind's made up, right? I mean, sometimes that happens with the quarterback. I'm going to that ball is going right there, and then, maybe that's not the right place, and maybe you kind of get a little sloppy, too, with it, right? Because you've already got it up.
You change your mind. No, I'm going to go over here, and then your footwork is where it needs to be, so now you're using all on.
Yeah.
So where does that put you?
Right. But I think that's a very honest assessment, a very self-aware assessment, and that's what you want to hear, right? That's a lot better hearing that because that means he knows what he has to work on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's, and I think that's why I kind of resonate with him, and a lot of people can relate to him because they see him, admitting that he needs to work on a lot of different things and that he's not a perfect player. So obviously he has work to get done, and I think it's authentic. I think people like that, and I sure do. And it's hard to get instead of kind of coach speak or make sure you're not saying anything that can be controversial. Which I don't think he ever has done. So I think he's well schooled with the media pretty much being a rookie quarterback.
I think so as well. All right, coming up next, it's finally here. After 3 days of trying to get this segment off the ground, we're talking about mid-season coaching changes and why it's not a bad thing for this Titans staff and why it's not a bad thing for Cam Ward. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And it's finally here.
No, it is finally here. Cam Ward said the same thing as Will Levis. He needs to rewire his brain.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
No, I just kidding.
All right, but we finally made it.
We did.
We've been trying to get this segment off the ground, but hey, I like to go with the flow of the show.
Yeah.
We if you want to jump in, 615-737-1045. But guys, we're finally here. Mid-season coaching change has been a big discussion among all Tennessee Titans fans right now because there's a segment of people that are just like, let's do it. You can't get any worse. There are a segment of people
rip the
Band-Aid off. There's a segment of people that say, you can't do it. It will ruin Cam Ward.
Ross.
It will ruin Ross. It will ruin Cam Ward. You can't do it. Well, let me tell you. I've done the research. I went through from 2010 to now. There have been 36 mid-season coaching changes
in the NFL.
In the NFL from 2010 to now. And there's been 10 of those 37 where there's been a rookie quarterback involved. But first, let's just talk about the team itself and how they'll benefit from a coaching change. Because there's a couple of different reasons, right? A mid-season coaching change, most people's winning percentage, 68.6% of those 37 teams, their winning percentage went up after they fired a coach. So if you want to win, now maybe this team just wants the number 1 overall pick so they could trade back and kind of speed up this rebuild. It's a possibility.
That's what I said.
That's what you said yesterday. And I love a good conspiracy theory. I love a good conspiracy theory, and that may be true. But 68.6% of the people of those teams get better. Now, how much better will this Tennessee Titans team get? According to history, you would go from maybe an 0-17 team. I think I got too many teams in there. But to maybe 2 wins. So it's really only going to add likely 2 wins to your win total. So if they win this week, you may be, instead of a 1-16 team, you may be 3-13 like you were last year. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't make a big change. Now, some instances are different than others, right? There are some guys that go undefeated, and there are some guys in their coaching, their midseason interim coaching. There's some that go, 5-4. There's some that lose, but 68.6% of those teams end up being better than no previous win percentage. So that's pretty good. Pretty good odds. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Like I said earlier, there have been 10 rookie quarterbacks that have gone through a midseason coaching change. 70% of them have been better. So 7 of the 10. That would be Spencer Rattler has proven to be better under Kellen Moore than what he was last year under the Dennis Allen and
Dennis Allen.
To Darren Rizzi was the other guy that I was trying to think of. Caleb Williams has shown to be better. Now, obviously, Caleb Williams, high pedigree, but that matters. Trevor Lawrence got better from Meyer to Bevel to Doug Peterson. Baker Mayfield was better under Kevin Stefanski after his rookie year. Jared Goff obviously got better with Sean McVay. Marcus got better with Mike Mularkey, right? I mean, we can't deny that Marcus got better and was more comfortable in Mike Mularkey's offense.
Definitely utilized his skill set, no doubt.
Derek Carr got better under Jack Del Rio when they went from poor Dennis Allen's been on this list a few times, to Tony Sperano, then to Jack Del Rio. So those guys have gotten better. Now listen, there are 2 guys that didn't. Dwayne Haskins, when they went and drafted him, and they went from Jay Gruden to Bill Callahan, then went to Ron Rivera. Dwayne Haskins.
With the Commanders.
Yeah, he ended up just before his untimely passing. He ended up, he was a third stringer at that point.
Mind you, he bit out Joe Burrow.
He did, which is kind of crazy, right? And then Jack Del Rio to Mel Tucker when he got fired for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Blaine Gabbert never really took off. He never really Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine.
And then Bryce Young, we still don't know what's going on with Bryce Young right now. Is he good? Is he bad? Is it the team? I don't know, but I put him kind of an undecided. Jury's
big
out.
Alabama guy, what do you think?
I don't think it's going to turn out very well. But I don't know if that's really the coaching change's fault or a Bryce Young issue, right? Yeah. But who do you think I read off 7 names, and then 2 bad names, Dwayne Haskins, Blaine Gabbert, and then Bryce Young. Where do you all think Cam Ward fits? Well, he fits much closer into the 70% crew. Mm-hmm. And to me, those that are worried about coaching change, Marcus didn't get bad because of coaching changes. He got bad because of injuries. Mm-hmm. Trevor Lawrence has gone through several coordinator, play caller changes, and he's got a new head coach, and he's at least maintained a certain level, a degree of good. Uh-huh. And he did not look that great under Urban Meyer. Now, Urban Meyer's, what I'm saying?
They should have never hired him.
Caleb Williams has looked better. Spencer Rattler has looked better. Like, to me, I look at this and I say, yeah, this is going to end up being a good thing for Cam Ward, way more likely than not. Can't guarantee it, right? But a coaching change should help. So that's kind of where I'm at right there. This is why I think that these people that are too scared to pull the trigger for Cam Ward's development, I'm not saying he's going to instantly become good this year, but as far as stunting or hindering development of Cam Ward, very likely it's not going to happen.
Yeah, those are great examples and a little history there. I guess that's over 15 years or so. So. Yeah. To me, I get it. Everybody's more concerned about stunning the growth of the quarterback, which is the most important position naturally in the NFL. But to me, you have to do what's best for the organization. So whether that's getting rid of your quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, or head coach, I think is all mute if you're not doing the best for this team. So. Eventually, they're going to get to that point. If not, then Callahan's going to start winning some games. I just wish that we hit. It's got to be about time now that we hit on the right hire.
Yeah.
It's just the odds are. I mean, we could talk. Everybody was laughing at the Texans when they went on that 3-year hiatus when they were just firing different coaches every year. It felt like it anyway for 3 years. Then all of a sudden they got it right. Well, who's to say they were going to keep it right? Well, right now they only have 1 win after they got it right with their coach and quarterback. See, so it's eventually it's about winning and who you can bring in that fits. Where the organization wants to go, as well as the GM and getting the talent and having nice rhythm and flow of how you go about putting your team together. And will that continue or will you stop it with the change of a coach?
Yeah.
So to me, it's a bigger picture. I like how you looked at it as far as the quarterback development. But ultimately, it comes down to, you can hire even a defensive guy. Because I don't want people to think you have to hire an offensive guy.
Hire the best coach.
But what you need to do if you hire an offensive coach, you have to make sure that then you're grooming someone. I mean, if you hire a defensive coach and you get an offensive coordinator who leaves and gets a big-time job, there's supposed to be someone in place you're grooming to be the replacement that's right beside his side. And that way, you always are prepared for movement when you have a young quarterback and you want to have somewhat of the same ear and hearing the same things from maybe your quarterback's coach, your offensive coordinator, whatever it may be. That way you have some form of consistency throughout. I'd love to see that. But your head coach is supposed to be a leader of men. And so better make sure you get that part right.
I will say this. So to your point, someone, I can't remember if it's on this show that a caller said this, or maybe as Ross said it. I can't remember. All my shows are kind of bleeding together right now. But someone said, don't hire for someone for who they've been with, but for who they are.
Who they are, yeah.
And I think that is the way that you need to look at it. But guess what? I got some more data for you. I'm not done.
Oh, what? I should have known. This is not the Lions, Den.
It is not. I got some more data for you. There have been 6 interim head coaches hired. Only one of them was better, and that was Mike Mularkey, and that was with the Tennessee Titans. So the key word to the wise, no matter what happens with whatever interim head coach down the stretch, do not hire that interim head coach.
Right.
Because that is the outlier.
Yeah.
So you do not hire the interim head coach.
Good example is what the Raiders did with Pierce.
Right. A great example. Pierce, Doug Marrone got it when he took over for Gus Bradley. And then Romeo Crennel with the Kansas City Chiefs took over for Todd Haley. they kept him around, and that they eventually got Andy Reid, but they went through 2 or 3 years of pretty bad play. Leslie Frazier is another one for when he took over for Brad Childress back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And technically, Wade Phillips had a better win percentage than Jason Garrett, so I included him in that because they hired Jason Garrett with the Dallas Cowboys. So, but here's the thing. For those that say, hey, are they going to be able to get a better head coach next? Yeah, 48.5% of the teams got a better head coach that fired their midseason coach next year. Because we're talking about guys like Ben Johnson, Jim Harbaugh twice, Shane Steichen, Sean Payton, Doug Peterson, Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, Kevin Stefanski, Sean McVay, Sean McDermott, Doug Peterson again, Mike Mularkey, obviously, Bill O'Brien when they went from Gary Kubiak to Wade Phillips to then Bill O'Brien at Houston. They got better. Now, it didn't last long, but they got better. And as I said, Jim Harbaugh a second time, but then John Fox over in Denver. So a lot of those teams were able to find the right culture guy.
Watch this. What's the common thread when you read all those names?
Most of them were, I would say almost a lot of these guys were from the Andy Reid coaching tree. By the way, I just want to throw that out there. I don't know if that's where you were going.
No, I wasn't, but
that's kind of what I'm looking at right here.
I was just going to say they all were veteran proven coaches at some point in time.
Right, because, I mean, you knew what Jim Harbaugh was even before he got there, right? You knew what John Fox was. Bill O'Brien had been in the league for a long time, has called plays before, and all this kind of stuff. Like, they all had way more levels of experience. Even Kevin Stefanski had been around Gary Kubiak for a long time and then cut his teeth under Mike Zimmer as offensive coordinator before he got the job. Sean McVay, he was a play caller before he got the job, right? Kyle Shanahan was a play caller before he got the job. So, like, Matt LaFleur was a play caller before he got the job. Matt LaFleur is probably the, I guess, least experienced guy at the time that he got hired. And he went through growing pains, and he had Aaron Rodgers to help him, right? I mean, like, he had a little bit of a bumper there to learn on the job because he had Aaron Rodgers and a pretty good roster. But he eventually became something because he was given time and patience. But he looked good starting out. So I'm just saying, like, you know, Sean Payton taking over for Nathaniel Hackett, right? And, I mean, find you that guy that has had success. They're out there. You just got to be willing to maybe pull the trigger when it may not be that sexy of a hire. Are you worried about the sexiness of the name and the marketability of the coach, or are you worried about winning games? That's really what it comes down to.
I'm worried about winning games.
Yeah, I know you are.
I know how some people want to sell the...
Yeah.
Like, would you even consider Arthur Smith?
I wouldn't be as opposed to it, but, you know, there's talks going on around now that either John Harbaugh could get fired or Mike Tomlin could get fired. If they both stayed, it would be very surprising. Now, that could be early overreaction in the NFL.
Right.
But if you were to tell me that Mike Tomlin got fired and you get Mike Tomlin as your head coach and Art Smith as your offensive coordinator, I'm running to the bank. You tell me I can get John Harbaugh and maybe Todd Monken over here, I'm running to the bank because then I don't have to hire those guys. Even though Art Smith has had experience, and I don't know how much is Art Smith and whatever was going on in Atlanta. But, you know, I'm not totally opposed to it. It just probably would be like number 5, number 6 on my list. But I'm going to have a pretty extensive list at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, wow. I was just thinking of people who have relationships with the ownership, at least to a certain extent, being on the staff. whether that be Schwartz. I don't know how far back you want to go, but there's other guys that probably
Jim Schwartz is a good name that we haven't really ever talked about.
So, yeah. Anybody you want on the list there, Ross?
Well, I was just going to say I love, you bringing up Matt LaFleur because I think it goes into the point of when you hire young coaches. I think young coaching hires only work with veteran teams. Like you look at Matt LaFleur going in the Packers, the crux of their team were veteran guys.
A good culture, too, right? A good GM.
Already built.
Yeah,
good point.
Yeah,
quote-unquote GM.
Yeah, and obviously, like, at the start, a lot of people were attributing the success to Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the guys, and I get that. Now I think we can say, like, he's a good coach. He's a very good coach. You look at a guy like, trying to think, like Robert Saleh going to the Jets. Young coach, young team. Just never worked out. Obviously, 23 could have been different for them if Rodgers hadn't blown his Achilles out. But now they get Aaron Glenn, too. Young coach, still a pretty young team. And I know it's early in his time, but it just doesn't work well, the mix of young teams and young coaches. And that's what we have in Nashville right now.
I wonder if young team is the right term or inexperienced head coaches and, for lack of a better term, dysfunctional organizations. Because, I mean, look how many of the people the Jets have cycled through, but they've never really fixed what their main issue has been, is that they're using Madden to make decisions on draft picks and roster moves and all this kind of stuff. Because I do go back to Les Snead and the Rams, and Les Snead has proven to be a really good GM and has a really good grip on that organization, and him and Sean McVay were able to fix that and correct the ship. Now, obviously, Borgonzi and this other guy would be in charge of that, but you got to hope that them two can maybe overcome some of the past dysfunction or current dysfunction currently on display by the Tennessee Titans.
Don't Brinker?
Well, I'm not trying. I'm talking about a couple of different people. I would say that I feel like.
So you're not a Brinker guy.
I'm not a president. The presidents, I guess, right now for the Tennessee Titans, I think I would include both of them in this. Is that let Borgonzi be the general manager and let him drive,
empower the people in the positions to do their job.
Yes, let him drive the decision of who's the next head coach, because then you don't need all this like, well, he didn't really like him, but Brinker did, or Amy did, or Kenneth did, or Burton did, and so we hired him, even though our GM didn't like him. You don't need that. Let your GM make the choice. I'm not saying they don't sit in on the meetings and everything, but ultimate decision should fall onto the guy, Mike Borgonzi, who you've already said has full control of the coaching staff. So if that's already been laid out, then that should be who has final say. Not Burke Nihill, not Chad Brinker, not Amy Armstrong, and I'm sorry if you're catching strays, Kenneth Adams, and you don't make any decisions whatsoever, but not Kenneth Adams. It should be Mike Borgonzi's decision. And
I think
that's
there's
how
a
you
line there, but I mean, you said even not the owner. No, the owner can come down and do what they want.
Right. I mean, they can, but they shouldn't.
Right. You should let them handle it, and you should be having these kind of conversations week to week.
Yeah.
Where if your coach is on the hot seat. I mean, like, hey, what are we thinking here now? Should we be making a move or not? That was the kind of conversation the owner with the GM and say, what are you thinking? At this point in time, and why are you giving him more time?
Right.
So I'm sure they've had those kind of conversations. It'll be interesting because he's bringing up the Zach Taylor deal. It took him 3 years to turn around the Bengals as far as record-wise.
Right. I just,
But some of that is because Burrow was out, right?
Yeah, right? It may not have taken as long if Burrow had stayed healthy. And for the first year, he didn't have Burrow, right?
No.
Second year, Burrow didn't stay healthy because of a bad offensive line. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they got Jamar Chase and all that kind of stuff. Like, it kind of started taking up. But you know that the Cincinnati Bengals ranked dead last since 2022, so the year after the Super Bowl, in explosive play rate. With Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and they can't get explosive plays. T. Higgins can't get explosive. They're since 2022. What? So even the Tennessee Titans are higher.
I think you got a glitch in your computer system.
That wasn't me. That was maybe someone else's. Someone else's. But I'm just saying, I'm so glad we got this out there. You can find a better head coach if you have the right processes in place, obviously, and they need an experienced guy to right the ship as head coach. But it's not the end of the world for Cam Ward. Some of these quarterbacks had other things happen to them that caused them to maybe derail for a little bit. Like Marcus was injuries. Baker Mayfield may have been a little bit of himself, or the I guess you would say
Mayfield was playing injured the whole entire season.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe he's a little bit of injured, but
it was his throat.
What am I saying? The organization may have let him down a little bit as well. So I'm not saying that's all Baker Mayfield's fault, but maybe got a little too big for his britches in some areas, all the commercials and all the stuff. But I kind of lean organizationally. I think he got failed. But that's just me. I know everybody's opinion is a little bit different, but you see what Baker Mayfield's turned into. You can almost point to Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold.
That's what I was about to say.
They never had a midseason coaching change under Sam Darnold. They just stuck with the same Adam Gase bad coaching, and then they switched to other bad coaching, and they never made a head coaching change in the middle of the season. That's the New York Jets.
Well, it's like, I agree. It all comes down to organizations at the end of the day. Like, for example, and this is no shade at Mike Tomlin at all. I think he's a great coach, but like, say the Steelers, say he didn't start with the Steelers and he was with the Jets or like the Browns. Do you think he would never have a losing season? I highly doubt it, right? Those are organizations that struggle pretty consistently. And if you want to look at it and say like, well, all these organizations that do good have good coaching. Yeah, because they know how to hire the right guys and draft the right players. And therefore, these guys like the Steelers, Packers, the Buccaneers right now, whoever it may be, that's why they seem to always stay successful. Vice versa, teams like the Jets, Browns, they're always cycling through the wrong people, wrong draft picks, and they're always struggling.
Yep. There you go. Good point, Ross.
Great point.
Man, this show with Ross, that edition of Ross.
We got so much smarter, right?
I know, we did. All right, coming up next, we'll talk more Tennessee Titans. 615-737-1045 is the number. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 1045 The Zone.
Jackson!
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. It is the number. Let's close out with your phone calls. Let's go to Eric in Murfreesboro. Eric, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hi, guys. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Fantabulous.
I'm doing fine. Hey, I'm going to be thinking outside the box here, so please bear with me for just a minute. Okay. Who in the Titans organization is over our collegiate scouts? Are our scouts giving the organization bad advice on college players? Are they being held accountable? I mean, to me, I think that the blame maybe should go back on them somewhat. What do you think?
Well, I think it means scouts. Listen, the draft is a very hard thing to nail every year.
Well, it's an inexact science, to be honest.
Yeah. But I know nobody wants to hear that. And I'm not trying to make excuses for scouts or anything. But to answer your question directly, Mike Bergonzi is over Dave Ziegler, who's over the scouts. So the assistant general manager is technically over the scouts.
Well, ultimately, it's their job, even though if a scout does, the scouting, they still have to go review it and look at the player themselves. So ultimately, when they're making a decision, it is their decision.
Yeah, and they spent the entire offseason this year putting in new processes into place. I remember Mike Bergonzi and Brinker talking about this, that this scouting staff had never done before. A new language, a new grading system, and a new way of watching film and how often you're watching film and all that kind of stuff. Like everything was new. So they were kind of learning a new language.
Oh, cool.
So we'll see how that works. It has worked for other teams, this process that they're doing, but we'll see what it works for Tennessee Titans.
Ross thinks.
It is. So it is unique and different. So we'll have to see. But I feel like while the strategy of drafting seems a little has been questionable to me
as far as their player evaluation.
The player evaluation. But I do think the scouting has been good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's go to Tyron in Brentwood. Tyron, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, guys, good to be with you. What up, Blaine?
What's going on, man?
Man, I tell you, man, I'm not a Titan fan, so I can be objective with this, but I just think going forward, the Titans at the end of this year, and in particular Amy as an owner, because I tell you right now, I don't see a winning fight for this team. I think this team has 0-17 written all over it. And at the end of the year, is Amy going to take a hard look at herself and go, am I the problem? Do I got the right people in place? I mean, we don't know if Cam can play or not play because we have an NFL roster team around him. And you guys have brought up some good coaches that may be available by year's end, whether it may be a Harbaugh, whether it may be a Mike Tomlin. But you can't just hire him. If you're going to hire a coach of that cachet that has that kind of cachet, you got to give them supreme power, meaning they shouldn't have to come in and have to deal with these working shifts that's in place right now. They should be able to call their own shot, pick their own GM, be fully in charge, because it's going to take that kind of coach or some kind of coach in those personnel to turn this thing around. Because I'm telling you, man, this is rock bottom if you're a Titan fan. And I don't think people realize that or sense that. But you just think about this at the end of the year. If you are 0-17, you're about to enter a new $1 billion stadium in a couple of years. There's no direction. There's no routine. This is bad. And you got the number one pick, and we don't have a clue right now because we can't go to nothing because there's nothing around him pretty much. So I just think Amy's got to look in the mirror herself at the end of the year.
We got to go.
All right, sorry, Tyron. We got to go up to the break. I didn't know people still called in from landlines, though, or were using a walkie-talkie. I couldn't understand hardly anything he was saying, like every third word. I just know this. I heard at least this much, that does Amy have the right people around her to make the decision? And that goes back to our previous conversation where really Mike Bergonzi should be making the decisions for the next head coach. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
whatever.
You said that right here. I cannot stop laughing.
All right. We appreciate everybody chiming in. Tomorrow we'll have Jordan DeJaney. We'll preview the NFL weekend, preview Titans versus Cardinals, what we've seen on film. 3HL's up next has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. And in the meantime,
an in-between time.
Peace.